Thanks everybody for coming out tonight and coming to hear me. I think I present a very unique candidate profile over the 12 candidates in the race. As we'll get into, I am experienced as a mayor in Morris Township and understanding how government works on a day-to-day basis, how towns run on a day-to-day basis, and how people live their lives on a day-to-day basis, and all the problems that come along with running a town. I'm also an engineer, and I have a process-oriented and results-driven approach to most of the things that I do in life. Applied those skills to being mayor in Morris Township, and we accomplished a tremendous amount since I first became the mayor in 2019. And we can go into some of that later. But it also gives me that problem-solving approach that I think Congress is lacking. So we might think that there are a lot of good ideas coming out of Congress, but execution has been a problem. And no offense to any lawyers in the room, but there are a lot of lawyers down in Washington. And if there were maybe a few less lawyers and a few more engineers, we would get a lot more done. The other thing I like to say in the beginning is that we have had Trump for 2 terms now, and there's a reason for that. Obviously he won the election, right? But we had a chance in between with Biden for 4 years, and we got Trump back again. And I say the reason for that is that Democrats didn't deliver for our country. We had a lot of good ideas. The Inflation Reduction Act, which is not the best name for that bill. It was a big part of it was an energy bill, was a great bill. But we didn't execute on delivering the funds, and that cost us. So Democrats need to deliver, and if we want to gain the presidency back in 2028, we need fresh ideas, we need new approaches, and that's what I am here to tell you about tonight. I think I'm the only candidate that actually has a vision for the future. So everybody talks about fighting Trump, right, which is something we all need to do, right, push back and fight back. And I've done that by becoming the first ever Democratic mayor of Morris Township, fought Republicans for years, and then delivered for my town. But we need to deliver for the residents of this country with new ideas, fresh approaches, and ideas for the future. And that's what I bring to the table that I think also differentiates me from the other candidates. So I will start in the beginning where I grew up. I grew up in Englewood, New Jersey, and I like to say that my life was formed by my parents, like a lot of people. So my mother was a special ed teacher, and she taught me at a very young age how we need to care for the disadvantaged and underprivileged people who need a little bit of extra help from us. And she taught me the skill of empathy for a lot of those underprivileged people. She was also a naturalist, and she started a nature preserve in Englewood called the Flat Rock Brook Nature Center, if anybody's heard of that. It's quite large now. She was a founding member of that. And I remember as a young kid, we used to walk through the park before it became the nature center, and we used to clean up all the garbage in the park. So I would hop along from rock to rock in the stream and pick up any garbage I saw in the stream. But she taught me how to clean up after others, taught me the importance of the environment, and most importantly, taught me about the importance of clean water. And clean water is something that I talk about a lot these days. My dad was a surgeon, and he was always looking for better approaches, better ways to save lives, better techniques, better procedures. And he taught me how we should always look for better ways of doing things. And that's what I have done in my career, both in the private sector and the public sector. Always trying to find new ways of doing things, and we've done that in Morris Township. I went to Cornell University, got an undergraduate. I have 2 undergraduate degrees in operations research engineering, which is a math-based engineering, and economics. I went to work at Bristol Myers Squibb, and at night I went to graduate school at Columbia University in New York City, and got a graduate degree in industrial engineering, which is the application of all that math to real-world problems. And it's perfectly suited for running government, right? We need to be more efficient. It really shows us how to process things better and get more done. It's a great skill that I've been able to employ in Morris Township. I at Bristol Myers, I did international business development. So I traveled all over the world, working in so many different countries, trying to either starting Bristol's businesses there or working to increase them, increase sales, and increase bringing new products to those markets. So I've had a lot of skills, again, that's important for Congress in international relations, so to speak, working cross-culturally in different countries, and having to sort of interact within those cultures and get things done. And a lot of us look at Congress as being, U.S. focused, right? A lot of the discussions that Americans have are about us, but we can see with what happened in Venezuela and more, we know what's happening in Ukraine and the bombing of Iran. There's a lot of international relations and international affairs that goes on in Congress. And I've had that experience in my lifetime in doing that as well. And then fast forward when we started a family, when we moved out to Morris Township, and I was just a happy resident like a lot of other people. But then I got disenfranchised. I had some issues in my town. And I'm a person who believes when you complain about something, you should try to do something about it. And I'm a person of action. So instead of just complaining, I talked to the local Democrats who were campaigning in my neighborhood. And they said, oh, we could use some new candidates too. So I raised my hand and decided to run. The Republicans said, why don't you just join us and, you can be part of our club and, we'll let you in the fold. And I said, no, you're the guys who I'm fighting against because you guys are not doing a good job. You're disenfranchising our residents and not treating us well. So there are a few incidents that made me start. The first is when I'll tell you quickly the three incidents. Is when I had a kid. I took him to a playground in my town and the playground equipment was rusting. And went to town hall and talked to the recreation director, and she basically told me to bug off. Then we had an incident with speeding in the neighborhood where there was a bad car accident and went to the police. They said, we don't have the staffing to actually monitor your neighborhood. And then they wanted to build a big retirement community in the middle of the woods in my town and cut down 40 acres of woods right next to a Category 1, which is the most pristine kind of stream in New Jersey with the cleanest water, and build a humongous development next to clean water. And most of the town was against it, but the township still pushed it through. Thank goodness DEP down in Trenton nixed the project and it never went through, but that was the last straw for me. And I said that the town wasn't looking out for its residents, so I started fighting. And my town was all Republican for a long time. And in 2007, I became the first Democrat ever first Democrat since Watergate to win a seat. So 34 years. It's the first Democrat to even hold a seat. And then fast forward, I lost my reelection in 2009, came back and won in 2010, became the first Democrat ever to win a second term in my town. Because back in Watergate, they were one-term Democrats, like a lot of places around the country. First ever to win 2 terms. Fast forward to the blue wave in 2018 when Mikey Sherrill got elected. I was on the ballot with Mikey that first time. And we both won, and we flipped the town from red to blue. And in my town, it's a township committee form of government where we don't directly elect the mayor. So the council appoints the mayor. And I got to be the first ever Democratic mayor in Morris Township. And we started delivering for our residents. So I'm an engineer. I love infrastructure. We started building infrastructure all over town, building a lot of sidewalks that had been neglected so we could connect people within neighborhoods, but also connect them to our recreational facilities. We started rebuilding neighborhoods by repaving roads, putting in curbing and drainage, where the drainage was insufficient for the big rainstorms that we've been getting the last few years, and putting in sidewalks. So a lot of the infrastructure is related to forming community. And that was a big thing for me, is to ensure that we had we had this feeling of community and to build upon that feeling of community. Because I believe that when people are brought together and you find shared values, you can work across those differences to get things done. And we've shown how we can do that in Morris Township. Behind the scenes, I've been investing a tremendous amounts of money in the sewer plants. So Morris Township has 2 sewer plants, and we take all the sewage from Morris Plains, a good part of the sewage from Randolph and other towns, and we've been investing heavily there to make sure that what we put back into the water stream is as clean as it can be. And one of the things that we're looking at now is, we all know about the PFAS in the water, the microplastics in the water. So there's an effort now to screen that in the drinking water. But if you think about it, it comes back in through the sewage system and then goes back in the streams, and the fish drink that water, and then we eat the fish and we get the microplastics. So, we're being very forward looking and thinking about screening microplastics out of the water as it goes back into the streams from the sewer plant. So again, very forward looking. I like to say that engineers don't like to see things break, right? We like to fix them before they break. So when they break, it costs a lot of money. So always having that forward looking viewpoint on life and getting things done. And again, something that I've taken throughout my life. So now fast forward to where we are now. I should say back in this past November, I was on the ballot with Mikey again. So I won my 5th term in Morris Township. I'm proud to be on the ballot with Mikey a 2nd time. Both monumental victories for her. And I hope I played a little small role in bringing out the vote in Morris Township for her. And now fast forward, disenfranchised again with our country, right? A lot of things that are a mess, a lot of fighting. And just as I stepped up for Morris Township, I feel like I'm stepping up for our residents here across the country in running for CD11. And like I said, I think I have a lot to offer with my skill set as being the mayor, being an engineer, having that problem solving approach, having certain life experiences that none of the other candidates have, and a skill set to be what I think would be a really, really good congressperson to represent everybody here in CD11, along with those skills that we all want about fighting back against Republicans, which of course is really, really important. And I'll do my part to winning back the House. And I think I'll leave it there, and we'll go to questions and fill in the gaps as we go.